This place is full of surprises. We just arrived to Lake Karum. Is the name of the salty lake. As you can imagine, I am walking on the salt again. It is pretty crazy experience, and there's actually whole huge lake here, and all this whiteness you see is of course is salt, and it is so flat that it is so amazing to experience. As we are traveling around the depression, it is amazing to see different landscapes and different structures, and of course you have to always pay attention to the ground. That's so cool that we are constantly walking and also driving on top of the salt. And one of the coolest things you can actually experience here is this little pool. How amazing is that? There's a little pool, and this one, it shouldn't be too hot, so you can actually get in if you like to swim. Probably you cannot swim too far away, just to dip in and come out, and you would be basically floating in the water, because the density of the water, like it's so salty. This water is probably 10-20 times more salty than normal ocean water, so which means you will be easily floating around. As soon as you get in, of course you cannot dive in because you will burn your eyes from the salt, but once you get in, you don't have to move a muscle in your body, and you will be still floating in the water, which is amazing. I did experience that in Dead Sea in Jordan. That's also Dead Sea, also very well known for being so salty, and I was actually floating, and then I also grabbed a book from the place I was staying at, and I was kind of reading a book while I was laying in the water, so that was pretty cool experience. So this is how the water looks like. So you can actually sit down here, put your feet inside if you like. So you're sitting on the salt and putting your feet on the salty water, which is amazing. But I have to tell you the truth, after you get into this water, it's not just a normal water. As I said, it's so salty, and also at the same time it is very oily water. So as soon as you come out, it is pretty disgusting. Like you want to wash out everything on your body just to get rid of that oiliness. It is like sticky oiliness that comes with that swim. So it is, as long as like there's no shower here for me to take a shower straight away, I wouldn't do that again. But it was once a lifetime experience to do it in Dead Sea. But it's also pretty incredible to see the bottom of the lake, and also it makes you realize like how large is this place, and how we can actually still drive on top of the salt, and underneath it is just water. It is crazy. Like we just parked the car right there, and probably this water part is like it's wider, maybe few meters or a few 100 meters, I'm not sure. So it is pretty interesting to see this as well. So it's full of adventures and full of surprises to explore this depression. We just arrived to a little salt lake here, and I am right now actually walking on the salt. So everything is here about salt. It is pretty insane, but this is very hot thermal waters, and you can actually feel that they are boiling. And very interestingly, right here in the middle, they have actually little chimney, and the water is actually coming out of it. That's so cool. And when you look every corner, you can see that there's a bubbles coming out too. So it is very hot. Maybe not toxic, but it is very hot. So you don't want to fall into here. But this is all shaped from the salt, like all these little areas. And my guide said that it was actually full of water here. It was a big lake, but now water goes away slowly. So it is pretty interesting to see. Like you can see the bubbles are coming out from here, so the hot water is coming to the surface. It is crazy, absolutely crazy. and all this different chimneys shaped here. You can see there's a little hole, so this was boiling like that one before, bringing out all the salt from the bottom, and the air coming out, water coming out. It is so interesting. Nothing like I have ever seen before. It is so beautiful, but also very crazy to experience. We just came to a little bit different part of the depression, and this is where they do the mining of the salt. So you can imagine how much salt deposits are here, and they have been mined for centuries, and we still have so much more salt left out here, and I think for several more generations we will have a salt opportunities here. So what they do here, basically they're actually digging and taking the first layer of the ground, and as you can see, this is all salt, and then some big car passed by from here. So they're just collecting this in one place, and then afterwards they ship it to the different places, which is absolutely crazy. I think my understanding is that they are actually taking only the first layer because it is dry, and when the salt is dry it is easier to carry it, so it's not actually too heavy. So that might be the main reason why they are only looking at the first layer. They use some certain tools. As you can imagine, it's not easy work too, so you have to put lots of effort. It is like a stone. You have to destroy the stone and then make it to smaller pieces, and then they pile it up like here, and then the big cars come and then they load it, and then afterwards they take it to sell, to process, and probably clean it up from the dirt. I think that's the process they follow. As you can imagine, there's not a single soul right now here. They mostly work either really early morning or during the night, and because it is super hot here, and it is 9 a.m. and temperatures are already nearly 40 degrees. 9 a.m. Imagine what temperature it will be here around 1 p.m. 2 p.m. in the middle of the day. So that's why they're only working during the night or so. And also I think I'm coming to certain realization that this place is so flat, maybe because underneath it is actually water. It is the lake. As we could saw, like there was a little hole and we could see the water. So maybe this lake extends to all this huge lands in the surrounding areas, and underneath is the water, salty lake. Above it is the very thick salt that just been crystallized from having too much salt in the water, and then it's collected at the top. That's the way how we can actually drive and have the super flat surface. So I might be wrong about this fact or just the idea, but that's how I feel about the whole experience. Otherwise, it is unusually flat here. Like there's nothing popping up, and it's so flat. So I think underneath it, it's water, and then above it is very thick salt that crystallized and collected together. That's what makes it such a unique and interesting place. So further you go, you can actually get into the lake if you like as well. But as I said, the water is so oily and so salty that afterwards you definitely need lots of water to wash yourself up. Otherwise you will be very sticky, and you don't want to put your clothes after you've been into this water. Beautiful place. I love it, man. It is incredible to be here. It is a very surreal experience, and I loved every second of it so far.